When we look at these practice questions, and specifically the first question, you'll know that we call it a spider diagram. But the correct word for it really is a flow chart, because it acts like a machine. You've got something that comes in from the left, and then something happens to it in succession, and then you get something out on the other side. So you just need to complete that flow chart. Then looking at question number 2, you are given a pattern, but this is a geometric pattern, meaning that you've got pictures of certain things. What you need to do is to convert the pictures into numbers, so that you've got a number pattern that you can then find the rule for. What happens between the first term and the second term, and the second term and the third term? It needs to be the same constant operation. In other words, you keep on adding the same thing, subtracting the same thing, multiplying the same thing, or dividing the same thing to get from one term to the other. And you need to take a look at those figures that you've got there, those diagrams, and change them into numbers so that you can follow the pattern or determine the pattern. And then you need to use the rule to find something way down the line. Because remember, you've only got the first 3 terms here. Typically, they would ask you just for the 4th term or the next term, but now they are asking you for the 16th term. So you need to be very precise when you calculate the various values, or when you determine the rule, because you need to be able to find the number of dots in a diagram according to its position. And with that I mean, this will be the first position, that is the second position, that is the third position. You need to relate the number of dots to the position so that you can answer that question properly. So that's a tip I'm giving you. Make sure that your rule incorporates the position of every diagram as well. Then going to question number 3, they are giving you a pattern, a number pattern again, and they're telling you that there's a common difference, which means you add 4 every single time. To get from one term to the next, you will add 4. The word difference means minus. But that comes down to the fact that in order to find that constant difference, you would minus backwards. So the second term minus the first term will give you 4. The third term minus the second term will give you 4. The 100th term minus the 99th term will give you 4. That is why it's called a common or a constant difference. You need to use that and think about it so that you can answer this question. You need to just think about it a little bit. It doesn't come straightforward. You need to think about that question before you attempt it, but it is that easy. There's a constant difference or a constant number that is being added. Then for question number 4, they're giving you a table, but this is just another way of asking you to find a number pattern, because typically we could use the numbers in the bottom row as the terms of a number pattern. However, in this specific case, it won't work because those numbers are not 1, 2, 3, and 4. If it were, then you would be able to just say that's my first term, my second term, my third term, my fourth term of my number pattern. And you find the constant difference or the constant coefficient or whatever you need to find the rule. In this case, your rule will go from input to output. That is typically what you would have done with the first question when you had the spider diagram or the flow chart. It's from input to output. You need to be able to find the rule there. Then for the last question, you just need to think very, very carefully, because that again is a number pattern. They're calling it a number row, but it is really just a number pattern, and you need to find that value, and that value in terms of its position. It's the first term, the second term, and the third term. You need to try and find the rule that relates the value of those numbers in the number pattern to its position. That again is a tip I'm giving to you so that you can fill in the missing numbers there.